Congratulations to you, Mr. Raghavan, for that. Thank you so much for joining us. Over to you.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Okay, I am not hearing this at all. This is like a post-lunch energy downer or something. Let's hear it. Are you guys awake? All right. You better be, because we have a superstar guest here. You heard the $41 million, and I didn't hear, honestly, anything she said after that. So we're going to ask for about $40 million from him by the end of this conversation, okay? But let's get started. I want to introduce Vivek and Pratyush, his co-founder, who's not here. We wanted to start with playing a video of what Open Hathi does. I encourage all of you to go to the website Sarvam.AI and check it out. But let me start by introducing Vivek. Vivek is a dear friend, and he's very, very modest, one of the most modest guys that I know. But his personal journey, Vivek, you got a PhD from Carnegie Mellon, you started and sold a company to Magma, and Vivek and I moved back to India we were both in the Valley on the same day, actually. And you've been in India for the last 16 years. And what most people don't know is your journey at Aadhaar. He spent 13 years selflessly at Aadhaar. Nobody would have heard of him, but he was a pioneering technology visionary behind Aadhaar, which we all take for granted today. So please give it out. So honestly, when I think of selfless service, truly selfless service, I always think of Vivek. And since then, he also was at AI for Bharat, which we're going to touch on, where he met Pratyush, his other co-founder. Pratyush had a PhD from ETH at Zurich. He was in the IBM research. He was at Microsoft research, playing a key role, and a faculty at IIT Madras and at AI for Bharat. So that's a little brief introduction about them. These guys are modest engineers, so they don't toot their own horn. So forgive me for tooting their horn in this case. But let's jump right in about the money. Funding. 41 million bucks, man. That's a lot of money, right? Every entrepreneur here is saying, what the hell did these guys do? What did the investors see to write such a big check?
No, I think it's a trend of the new trend of what's going on in India. I think that for the very first time, I think the investors have looked at, let's try and build something deep tech out of the country, and let's try to figure out how to build something as a foundational technology out of the country. And that's really what's really exciting, And I think that as Bala was mentioning, for the past 15 years, I've been kind of working in both digital public infrastructure and kind of non-profit kind of things. But when this whole thing of generative AI came about, we said, okay, how can I actually make a difference in this space? And I said, maybe this is the opportunity to actually come out and really build something, and the only way that we realize that you can do it is actually in the private sector. And I think and then when we went out there and we said we want to build something which is a continuation, right? I mean, and fundamentally the question is, the reason of what we want to do at Sarvam.AI is we want to basically make generative AI available and accessible to the people in the country, and that's the intent. And when we said that we want to do this, there was a resonance in the investment community, and I think it's a responsibility to show that something like this can be built out of India. So we see that as confidence and a responsibility, and I also hope it's a trend that there are many more people like us who are backed, because if you look at it, maybe it's a large number in the Indian context, but in the global context, I think there should be many more entrepreneurs who are back to do things in India.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to the many more entrepreneurs. I'm obviously going to ask you about Bhavesh's Krutrim. Yeah. So we're going to come back to that question. But again, $41 million. I mean, all of what you said, $2 million, that's a good amount of money for a startup which has not yet built anything. What are you going to do with all this money? And I can solve the problem. I can have a perfect solution for the problem.
I think in the last week I've got lots of calls from lots of people telling me how I can do. No, but
I know you first, okay? I'll be landed in the country the same day. I'm in the front of the queue.
No, but honestly, I think the key thing in this is to putting together an amazing team. And we actually have an amazing team, but we believe that it is talent that will drive this kind of thing. And so it is to get key talent. And of course, the other thing is compute. This is extremely expensive compute-wise to actually do these kinds of things. And I think that those are the two primary things that we'd use this for.
Okay. I'm computing in my own head as an entrepreneur. Talent, okay, you have like 20, 15 people. How much are you paying these guys? But okay, well, we won't touch on that.
Yeah, we won't touch on that.
But let's talk about what you guys actually built. What is Open Hathi? How would you explain Open Hathi to many people here who might not have know about it?
So I think Open Hathi is, so first of all, right, I personally come from the open source ecosystem, and and also from the DPI ecosystem. So we believe that for this to work, we need the ecosystem to be successful. And as a result of that, one of the first things we did was, hey, there are these open source large language models that exist, right? I mean, everybody knows about the Llama family from Meta. They also, there are others like Mistral. There are a bunch of open source, large language models. And then we said, is there any way that take an existing open source model and teach it language skills, right? I mean, Indian language skills. And that is really the, what we said, that can we do something like that? And is this a, relatively frugal way of actually, making models, work in diverse languages? Because the truth is still today, I mean, if you look at the amount of data and knowledge, it is still English dominates these things. And I think that how do you actually take and make it understand Indian language, understand Indian context, and all of those things in actually in an efficient way. And therefore, this was an attempt to do that. And it's Open Hathi is currently based on the Llama 7 billion model, but we'll be releasing many more models in different languages, different sizes, and things like that as part of this series. And of course, we will be building further models on those and doing other things to actually, and we'll also have endpoints that people can use. So therefore, it's definitely, something that people can use to things. And that's the essence of what this Open Hathi is.
So what does it mean to people in the audience here who are either doing their own startups or a business or developers? How should they look at OpenAI? Sorry, Sarvam, not OpenAI.
No. I think the way you look at it is that we are, one of the important things that we are doing is we're not just building models. We are also going to be building a platform for developers where you can actually use a combination of various different kinds of models, some which are from us, some which are open source, some which may not be open source, and actually pull together and figure out how to deploy generative AI applications at scale and understand and evaluate their performance in an efficient manner. And that's something that we're planning to do at this, and this platform is, in the next couple of months will be coming out there. It will be available to developers. But of course, those who want to start with the open source things and hack with that, of course, please go ahead and do that as well.
That's phenomenal. But how does it compare to OpenAI itself or Google?
See, at least the things that we are doing now, right? I mean, one of the things that when we thought about building Sarvam, we said we want to build a full stack generative AI company, and different people have, and our understanding of full stack is that we need to know how to train models from scratch. We need to know how to kind of figure out how to deploy models to solve real world use cases. And we need to play in the ecosystem to make sure that we can actually deploy population scale applications, right? So we were thinking about all of these things. But still the models we were talking about are, fairly small models. They are fairly small models, right? In the 7 to maybe up to 70 billion kind of range we're talking about. While these models like OpenAI and Google are obviously much bigger models, right? But we want to, we want to understand the techniques and be able to build that muscle to do all of these things to make it available to people. Now, those models are. As I said, I think that there is space for all of those things. And I think as even Sridhar was talking about earlier in the day, we believe that these smaller models can do many kind of domain-specific tasks extremely well, probably even better than the larger models. And that is really one of the key areas. And so therefore, the value of these kinds of things, right? We're not aiming in these set of models to build any AGI, right? That's not our goal here. Our goal is to make things that work extremely well for domain-specific use cases or increase accessibility through language and all of those kinds of things.
And obviously all of this unique to India. But what is unique about India? I mean, like is there anything special in our ecosystem that makes small models focused with Indian languages more suited for our problems?
So I think that there are quite a few things that are unique about India, right? The first thing is, I think that we are a voice-first nation, so therefore I think voice has to be the core to doing things. The other thing, of course, India is it's a cost-conscious country from a cost perspective. Now, I would say that there are lots of interesting use cases where you can use OpenAI and the cost structure works that when depending on your application. But when you want to scale things to a massive level and make it work, then you have to figure out how small models work. So that's something that is also specific to India. The third thing which is specific to India is really the success that India has had in building all this digital public infrastructure. When you add the AI layer on top of it, then you can actually get dramatic, I think, multiplicative, combinatorial effects based on doing things like that.
That's a phenomenal point. Like, it's like DPI to the power of AI almost in some ways. And as a part of Aadhaar, building Aadhaar, no better person than you. So in summary, what I'm hearing is small models trained with Indic-specific language data, suited for Indian problems at a compelling cost point. Will be suited for us. We're not solving some world autonomous vehicles or some complex problem. We're solving some basic problems specifically focused on voice with multiple languages. That is what you see as the future. Am I paraphrasing this correctly?
No, yeah. So I think that certainly, voice and Indian languages are an important part of our strategy. But we will be building custom models to solve various other kinds of problems as well, right? It's not just limited to, I think, in different domains, working in different domains, building things based on unique data that enterprises have and things like that. So that's something that we'll also look at.
Fair enough. So coming back to the elephant in the room, no pun intended with Open Hathi. What about Bhavesh Aggarwal and Krutrim? What is your take on that?
I think it's great. I think it's wonderful, right? The fact that the technology AI is so important that we need multiple people working on it. The fact that there are other people thinking actually validates that this is an important problem to be solved. And I think and we need everybody to come together and do that. So I really welcome that. I think it's great. And I think that there'll be different people will have different takes as to how to solve this kind of problem. And hopefully as a result of that, the entire ecosystem benefits.
Yeah. I have one more question, and then I want to talk about some of the predictions that you've boldly made. So Vivek, I usually ask people about what do you think the future will be, and everybody usually hedges. I asked Vivek, what do you think is going to happen by December 2024? What do you think sitting in this room 1 year later we can expect? And he made 3 bold predictions. So I want to talk about that. Before that, I have one last question. What are the top 3 applications that you think are relevant for India? You heard Sridhar talk about medical. Any quick summary, what do you think the top 3 apps are for India for AI?
So, I think that, as you said, things like education and medical are clearly areas where I think that things can be leveraged. The whole idea of all these kind of The DPI aspect of it is another major application where things can happen. And here I'm talking about country-specific. And I think the whole idea, which Sridhar also talked about, was the concept of software, right? And I think that, and clearly we have a very large software industry, and to how to reimagine those things in this context is also something that's going to be big.
Okay. Fair enough. Are you guys ready for Vivek Raghavan's bold predictions? Yes? No? I'm not hearing any yes here. This is like a big deal. He's like one of the smartest guys that I know. He wants to make 3 predictions. You don't want to hear it? All right. So I asked him, what do you think, a year later, what do you think we can expect? And he came up with 3 things, and usually people give very blah answers when you ask a question like this because they don't want to be caught wrong. Not Vivek. Vivek is bold. So he basically said 3 things, and I'm going to list out the 3 things and then ask him about it. So number 1, he says, I will prefer to talk to an automated customer service than a real person because they'll give me a better answer. So that is Vivek Raghavan's prediction number 1. So number 2 is that when everybody is talking about a GPU shortage, Vivek predicts that there'll be a GPU glut in India. He thinks there'll be too much GPU. Okay? So if you want to short NVIDIA stock, this is a good time. And number 3, which was extremely unexpected, he said some companies will suddenly die. Okay, so Vivek, these are not what I expected. So do you want to quickly talk about each of them, why you just came up with these, and then we'll throw the open for audience questions.
So I don't think I quite said it the way that that Bala is
I'm a marketing guy, yes.
but it's interesting. But I think the first thing that we said is I think that. And I don't think that this is, I think there will come a time when, in areas of customer service, etc., when you want to do something very specific. Today, when you call some kind of a bot, you actually end up, you mostly try to disconnect the call, or you're extremely upset that you're talking to a bot. But I think that there will come a time, and I'm predicting it is sooner than later, that you will actually get better responses from the bot than what the human representative, that at least the average human representative that you could talk to could give. And I think that that's just so I just said that there will come a time where it's not a human you're talking to, but it's probably more likely to solve your intent than the human person. That's just something that I think that could happen.
Okay, yeah. Definitely controversial, yeah. But we'll let it go. What about the GPU glut?
So I don't think that. So I think that the fact that there is a tremendous shortage right now, I think that shortage will ease because that is how the cycles of things go, right? When I think the fact that there was such a severe shortage last year, basically caused a number of different players to ramp up in various kinds of forms. And I think that will always go in a cycle. But we may find out that there are many, many more interesting problems that people will be able to solve. I still remember, we were at a Gen AI event in Bangalore, and we were talking to people, and we said, how many people have access to 4 A100s? This was the question that I'd asked, and nobody in the room, and these are all extremely enthusiastic Gen AI people, and nobody had access. And I think that thing is going to change. You will be able to get these kinds of things, and people who want to hack and do things will have access to these things without having to write a major check to
so
do.
Vivek is also a semiconductor guy before he went into Aadhaar, so I would take his predictions very seriously. So I don't know what I'm going to sell my NVIDIA stock.
No, I would not do that, but that's not what I said.
I want to blame you for this if it goes up. But the third one is pretty strange. Companies are born, companies die, but you said some companies will suddenly die. What does that mean?
No, I think the interesting thing is, and I think that it comes back to the fundamental nature of AI. AI is a tool, right? And you have to use that. And you have to use that within your business process, right? And how AI is being used. And what's going to happen is that, I think this is true when someone said in terms of people, they said that the people who leverage AI will be more effective than those who don't leverage AI. And that will be true for organizations also. Organizations that leverage AI fundamentally in their core business processes will be more effective than those who don't, right? And I think that's the thing. And you won't know the difference until one day it becomes too obvious and it will be too late. And I think that's the reason why everybody needs to think about what it means for your business. Because everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Then one day, somebody in your, either your competitor in your space or somebody brand new coming into your space will be reimagining your business process completely. And at that stage, you will find that it's, it's a very big, very tall, mountain to climb. And that's why I think it's important for both people and entities to think about how they will, they will upgrade themselves or they will modify their business processes to, to work out this.
That's a very nuanced answer, and everybody here who's running a business should really think about it, because life will be the same, and then suddenly something will, then there'll be a step change. Vivek, I have a few more questions, but I'm sure the audience has a lot of questions for you. So how are we doing on time? Okay. So okay, a lot of questions, so love to. Is there a mic that we can pass around?
Thank you. My name is Karthik. I work for IT service industry. So you're saying that you're working on LLM, it's a fine-tuned LLM on top of Llama. So my basic question, fundamental question is, we don't have a foundational model for India. Most of the models are basically using English or those kind of things. So for example, even Andrew was talking about the tokenizers and things like that. So are you working on anything like that, or do you want to use mostly the existing models and run on top of it? Are you going to use
a good question. You asked the cherry question for him, sir.
No, I think the interesting thing is that if you look at, and we have actually a blog on this on our website, I think one of the things that we've done is we actually built a customized tokenizer, which actually fundamentally changes the cost of some of these generations in Indian languages. And I think that we're not just fine-tuning. We're actually, we are leveraging the existing pre-training, but we are doing what's known as continual pre-training, which actually, but having said that, I think that when we have to figure out where is the data to train an extremely large model from scratch, and some of those things are things which will happen over time. But I think that yes, I think that we will be doing various kinds of things. But the interesting thing is that if I want to change the accessibility problem with an existing open source model, how do I do that? And that's the problem that we have. That we think we have solved, and is going to be the heart of this Open Hathi series.
It's extremely well explained in the blog. Even I could understand it. So.
Hi, I'm Prashant. I work for a fintech company. My question is, like, unlike China, we never had a consumer-facing application coming out from India, and in Web 1, Web 2, crypto and all. Why do you think it will be different this time in, like, AI? Because will the DPI and other things will serve the same purpose what the Great Firewall did in China? Or do you think, like in NASA, because AI is a strategic sector, no outside country can work in NASA projects, maybe all government contract will go to them. What exactly is the moat here for an Indian company?
So I think the question is, I don't know the answer to these questions, right? I mean, I think that it's difficult to predict, but I do believe, and I'm repeating, that the combinatorial effect of using Gen AI at a large scale, in addition, along with the DPI work that we've done in India, will have people, and I think that in the end, it is. The intent is that people need to be able to use it, and they will vote by things that are useful for them. And if that doesn't happen, you're right. And I think that we have to figure out what is the mechanism of delivery of apps, right? I mean, where do Indians consume content? That's the question.
I'm so sorry, but we are out of time. Vivek will be outside.
Yeah.
So he would be able to answer the question. Do we have time for one last question?
Can I just take one last?
One last.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm Manish Kothari. I'm from ISBR Business School. Good that I got a chance to ask you this question. During lunchtime, there were a few of our educationists whom we were talking about, and there was one from school and we are from the MBA institutions. We were thinking of these present generations, how do we get them into what you are doing? There is one thing that they have been regularly, that the concentrations that they are working on, but artificial intelligence and getting into this, getting them into their academics and making them a part of it is very important, including the trainers who train them, making them future ready into what you are doing is amazing. And the speed that with which it is growing, it is calling for a lot of training that needs to be done. Can you, from your angle, throw some light on how we could make them future ready? How these people who are management graduates and from schools who are coming out, how do we get into this part of technology that you spoke about?
No, so this is really a challenge, because I think everyone will need to understand at some level what this technology does. And I think that we have to rethink how we get everyone into these, and that this kind of education has to be at many different levels, right? There are from a core set of having people who are extremely good at some, and there you don't need as many, but then there are basically vast numbers of people who can actually leverage these tools. By the way, the most important thing about, and then maybe that's part of what makes an LLM interesting, is that how you use it, your mileage varies by that. And to understand how to actually leverage this in an interesting way is something that we have to widely teach many people, and because asking the things in the right way and having the right kind of applications will make a huge difference to how people can leverage these tools.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vivek. Very good luck to Sarvam and good luck to India. I think it's going to be a lot riding on your shoulders.
Thanks, Bala.
Thank you, Mr. Raghavan. And